Talk, video, talk, time runs out.
Stand up now or fade down.
Talk, video, talk, time runs out.
They lock us down, steal our rights, sell us dreams to dim the fight. Tell us wait, just trust the plan, while they take more from our hands. But we ain't sleeping, we ain't blind, we see the games, we read the signs. No more silence, no more shame. Get mad, get loud, ignite the flame. Get mad, get loud, shake the ground, wake up the crowd. No retreat, no backing down. This is our fight, this is our sound.
Talk, time runs out. Talk, time radio, talk, time runs out.
They push us back, say stay in line, spin their words, rewrite our minds. But the louder we get, the stronger we stand, and we ain't done till we take back this land. They cage the truth, we tear the bars, they dim the light, we burn like stars. They stack the deck, but we rewrite fate. This ain't submission, this is rage awake. This is our sound. Break free, break through, tear the walls. No more sleep, we take it all.
Time runs out. Time runs out. Time runs out.
Get loud, no more challenge, no more doubt. More doubt.
Hey, welcome, everybody. Oh, what a lovely Tuesday it was. Sunshine in and out here where we are in North Carolina, off and on today, right into the early evening, the 5 o'clock hour, right? 5 o'clock somewhere, right? And you know, it's excuse me, it's thunderstorms rolled in, and the thunder was very booming. But it really just, was mainly thunder. We did have a couple periods of about 6 or 7 minute heavy rain, but that was the extent of it so far. Some lightning flashing now, but it's really not been that bad. I've been checking on other areas. That the storm has rolled through already here in North Carolina, and we're seeing and hearing the same thing. So hopefully everybody's weather has been docile or beautiful or non-alarming today where you're at. As you're jumping on, let us know where you're jumping on from, because it's pretty cool to come see all the peeps and where they're jumping on from. So many of you we know, we that have been around for a while. We know exactly where you're jumping on from, but every now and then we get a few that we don't know, and it's good to see. And it's amazing how small a world it is, comparatively, when you really think about things, right? We got Hi from Texas. Texas is in the house. Of course, that's Sheepdog's territory. Another Texas just showed up. We got Grant, Florida, our Empress of Music. Miss Glenda, what's happening?
What did I say last night? That was the land of the flowers. The floral.
Land of the flowers.
Yep, land of the flowers.
Yep.
Yep, it was.
Yep, land of the flowers. Exactly right. We got Raleigh, North Kakalaki in the house, man. You don't see many jump on from Raleigh. That's awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. That is so awesome. We got Blount County, Alabama, Batesville, Arizona, Alucha, Florida. Miss Scruffy's down in Florida. Sydney, Australia. Sydney, Australia, in the lounge. All right, all right. Charleston, South Carolina. We got Chimp and Oregon in the house. And we got the Panhandle of Florida. We got Idaho in the house. Painesville, Ohio. Get mad, get loud. That's right. Right on, right on, right on. Harriman, Tennessee's in the house. Go Big Orange, they say. Right on. South Carolina in the house. Connecticut in the house. Massachusetts. Texas in the house again. And we got Miss Susan on with across the pond from the UK. Hey, Miss Susan, good to see you again. Oh, we got the Chimster here. The Burstow, Oklahoma's in the house. San Antonio, Texas. Tallahassee, Florida. Dillon, South Carolina. Kentucky, Indiana. Maryland in the house.
They want to know if the .com is in the house.
They want to know if the .com is in the house. Let's see what we got going on at the .com. It is not making a connection. Well, I didn't waste no time. It is now working. Everybody needs to refresh. Everybody needs to refresh. It is absolutely working. It's working on my end anyway. I had to refresh before it did, but it did give me a message trying to make a connection. There's 83 people in counting in the chat over on the .com, and it is active. And I see myself on screen. We got the hairy leg sheepdog up there in the right corner, and we got Mrs. Sheepdog, the wonderful lady who keeps us all sane and safe, or straight rather. There on the bottom, supporting the whole panel here. She's our rock lady, guys. Mrs. Sheepdog's been our rock. We got Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the house. Arkansas here with the chemtrails filling the skies. Right on, right on, right on. Arkansas's in the house. Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Right. South Carolina in the house. Scott Cootie from Florida. What's up, Scott? You got the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in the house. Right on, right on. Oh, man. Facebook's showing up big time tonight. Oh, man. That is awesome. Michigan in the house. Miss Delphine, what's up? Pennsylvania in the house. Worcester, Massachusetts in the house. Let's see. We got Syracuse, New York. Another Orangeman, right? Canada's in the house. What's up, Canada? Rhode Island in the house. Awesome. Evansville, Indiana. What's up, Miss Rhonda? Southwest Oklahoma in the house. Missouri in the house. Mickey and the Moo Moo is in the house. Right. Mickey and the Moo Moo. Right? Cape Cod in the house. Eaton, Ohio in the house.
Mike Dean's back from space.
Mike Dean.
Here you go.
He's been up there with Michael Jordan and the Spaceballs folks, right? Oh, I forget the name of that movie. What was the name of that movie?
Spaceballs. Didn't they just send some of those in space? They sent the space kickstands up there. Yeah, they sent Gay King up there, or a Gay King.
Yeah, Gay King.
And something. Have you seen have you stood back and looked at that rocket for a second? And
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like something on the shelf at one of them stores you don't want to go in.
Oh Lord, Mike.
It also looks very AI.
Yeah, it does look very AI. Got Newfoundland, Canada's in the house. I'm going to change the subject pretty quick. I might have stepped in mud just now. Oh, man. Fillmore, Indiana's in the house. We got Lower Michigan saying hello to Miss Delphine in Upper Michigan. Kansas in the house. In Idaho, but from Texas. Miss Carol's on in Idaho, but she's originally from Texas, it sounds like. All right, all right. Upper Michigan's in the house. Mike Dean's. What's up, Mike? Uh, Blue Ridge, Georgia in the house. All right, all right. Naples, Florida in the house. What's up, Miss Susie? Minnesota's in the house. Lots of sun today in Minnesota. That's awesome to hear. I still can't fathom it being like 30 and 40 below normally there during the wintertime, right? I don't know how I don't know if I could channel that energy very well, right? Oklahoma in the house with Scott Cootie. What's up, Scott? Yeah, my voice is getting stronger, folks. I'm getting back to more normal. North Central Iowa, and you obviously haven't been on in a while. It's good to see you. Oh man, Faith, Love, and Light, Minnesota in the house. North Central Iowa's in the house. Texas in the house. Miss Lois in the house. Ellen Reed from Connecticut in the house. Houston, Texas. Who shot JR? Northeast Texan in the house. Pennsylvania, Mr. Chuck's in the house. What's up? Why is Mike eating Ohio, right? Okay, Mickey. I used to live in Bloomington, worked in Egan. Now I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, the alleged Queen City, right? Charlotte, North Carolina in the house. Oh, they're saying hello to Miss Black Mountain. Gallipolis, Ohio. I know where that is. We got family close by in another town there, not far from Gallipolis. Gallipolis, Ohio. We got Bayshore, New York in the house from Deerfield Beach, Florida, originally. Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Callahan, Florida in the house. Wow, that's pretty cool. West Texas is in the house. Vickery, Ohio's in the house. San Jose, California. We got Cape Cod, Massachusetts in the house. I'm actually very south of Charlotte, 1 block from border of Fort Mills, South Carolina, which I love. Yeah, that's a beautiful piece of land down there, down that way. Lake City, Florida is in the house. All right, all right, all right. All right. So grateful to have those folks on from San Jose, California. What's that TV show used to come on HBO? Californication, right? They make up anything put on TV nowadays, right? Wahoo, I think that's Wahoo, Nebraska, maybe. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Welcome, Wahoo, Nebraska. Chief Wahoo McDaniels used to be a professional wrestler. Palestine, Texas. Wow, wow, wow. All right, folks. So grateful for everybody jumping on, and we got some things to share tonight, and there is a lot of talk about the different aspects of the remembering or the awakening. Last night's show was enlightening for a lot of people, and it was kind of disturbing for some as well. I can tell you that it still received positive input and feedback, and there were many more replay watchers today than normal. So I imagine some of you went back and watched it again. It was a ton of information. I always love it when Todd comes on to share. He's very clear, precise. He gives you the word meanings and um, cautions you when you're actually speaking about a conjure, and you need to know it, right? So it was a great time sharing that video, breaking it down towards the middle of it. It really wasn't much for us to say because he was very clear and he touched on a lot of connecting the dots topics, right? And yeah, go ahead, shoot dog.
Yeah, we took a lot of notes. That was probably me and my wife going back and watching it a couple times today, the show. So we went back and took direct quotes and notes and went back and got all the definitions for everything, like animal husbandry. What was the other one? Hold on, let me pull it all up because I don't want to.
Hegemony.
Airship,
Hegemony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
airship,
Apostasy.
birthright,
Wardship.
usufruct.
usufruct, right?
Usufruct
Yes.
is the right to enjoy the use and advantages of another's property. So in other words, your property taxes
Right.
go into you know who that people can't talk about.
Right.
Yep.
And people we can't talk about.
So it's
It's that capital IS place, right?
um,
Across the pond.
the War Powers Act 1917, which
Yep.
brought in the property tax, which is part of the usufruct. We also
good stuff.
brought up. He also brought up the unum sanctum. That's another one, right, Miss Sheepdog? Unum sanctum.
The Unum Sanctum. Yeah, that's the church, right? The Roman Catholic Church.
Right. Yeah. With a Baphomet influence, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Vatican's what gave everyone their Bibles.
Right.
Rome. So really, Rome fell at the same day that Rome was, because Rome came about on 421, 753 BC.
Yes.
On the same day that the Pope passed, which was yesterday, 421, 420, around there, Rome. So we're talking about land.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, which is kind of where I wanted to start today. Sheepdog, it's funny y'all mentioned that. This is a post from the ancient Hermetics. It talks about the final deception has begun and most will not see it. On April 21st, 2025, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Easter Monday, the day after resurrection of Christ, allegedly, right? In the ancient founding date of Rome. Pope Francis died at the age of 88. That wasn't random. That was ritual. That was symbolic. That was a signal. Let me walk you through this plainly so your spirit has a chance to recognize what the mind may want to dismiss. Revelation 17:10 through 11. The eighth king rises. And there are seven kings, five are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet to come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. Revelation 17:10 through 11. Let's break it down. If we count the popes since the Vatican became a sovereign political state in 1929, Pius was the first, Francis was the eighth. That verse just told you so. The eighth king is of the seven. He appears holy, but he leads into perdition. Francis' death at 88 on Rome's birthday, the day after resurrection, was a seal a spiritual system has ended. The next pope or the system he bursts may very well be the beast that was and is not, and yet is. What is the final deception? It is not a person. It is a global religious system cloaked in compassion, unity, and false light. It will claim to bring peace, appeal to all religions and cultures, invite you to surrender discernment for the sake of unity, but beneath it lies compromise, control, the serving of your connection to the divine within. This deception will look holy. It will sound like love. It will feel safe, but it will teach that salvation comes from without, not within. Why 88 matters. Francis died at 88. Why is that significant? 8 is infinity. 88 is infinite above, infinite below. A mirror as above, so below. It marks the end of the spiritual cycle of control. It echoes the beginning of a new illusion, a king rising in false light. In occult circles, 88 is used to symbolize eternal loops, time traps, and manipulated peace. This was the death of the old spell and the birth of a new one, far more convincing. How to spiritually guard yourself in these times. This is not a time for fear. This is a time to be clear, sovereign, and anchored in truth. Claim your inner authority. You don't need a middleman. God, consciousness, source is within you. Stop looking outside for saviors. You are the spark. Use discernment over emotion. The system will manipulate emotions. Love doesn't require compromise. Peace that demands your surrender is not peace. Let the hermetic laws, or live the hermetic laws. These aren't theories, these are shields. Mentalism, protect your thoughts. Correspondence, watch patterns. Polarity, stay balanced. Rhythm, don't swing with the chaos. Cause and effect, own your reality. Gender, seek balance. How to help others see without fear. Speak from clarity, not panic. Say, if everything that promises peace always asks you to stop thinking for yourself, is it really peace? Or real truth invites questions. False light demands obedience. Don't try to wake people up. Just leave the door unlocked. A prayer for armor. I stand in the light of eternal truth. No deception may cross the threshold of my awareness. I see with the eyes of my soul. I hear with the heart of spirit. Let falsehood fall before my discernment. And may I walk the path of clarity, strength, and peace. So be it. Say it aloud, daily, especially now. You were born for this time. You see through the illusion for a reason. This isn't the end. It's the moment where the real ones stand up and walk boldly in truth. Stay vigilant, stay grounded, and stay free with you always. And, that's the significance of the 21st and, how to steer clear of their last deception. Okay. It's going to be short-lived and temporary. And, it doesn't say that clearly in the piece I just read you, but it has been said clearly over and over again, much like Todd said recently. And then I couldn't pass this one up. We got another new action figure, Jailbird James, right? Letitia James.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, oh, no one is above the law, right? And James goes on to James Williams Taylor goes on to write. He says the illusion is imploding faster than a speeding bullet. Looking at this action figure, it's not just satire; it's symbolic, a caricature of what's happening in real time. The defenders of the illusion being exposed, stripped of their armor of lies, and marched into the court of public truth. From Fannie Willis to Letitia James, from Jack Smith to Alvin Bragg, the so-called protectors of justice have become the faces of corruption, weaponizing their efforts while preaching integrity. But here's the kicker. They never expected the light to shine on them. Their script is out of the Marxist playbook. Accuse your enemy of what you're doing as you're doing it to create confusion. Excuse me, Karl Marx. Well, the confusion is fading, the fog is lifting, and millions are finally seeing it. They are they are the chaos agents. They are the illusion, and their empires collapsing. One indictment, one lie, one leaked email at a time. They came after Trump like he was the enemy of the republic. Turns out he was the wrecking ball sent to expose the right. They tried to point they tried to paint the people as insurrectionists while they were looting the soul of this country from the inside. They screamed, "No one is above the law," and now the boomerang has turned. Use your discernment, speak boldly, walk in truth, even if you walk alone. This isn't just politics, it's the apocalypse of their narrative. And the apocalypse doesn't mean destruction, it means unveiling. No one is above the law. Not Fannie, not Letitia, not the fake prosecutors, the media lapdogs, or the bought and paid for puppets. Their show is almost over. The curtain is falling, and the audience is waking up. Stay fierce, stay alert, and most of all, stay free. A warrior of truth. Okay. Pretty good piece, and we got a new action figure. I can't wait to get my hands on. Right? Which leads us to one of the hardest parts about this whole journey within and the unveiling of truth. Okay. Last night we heard some things that were disturbing to some about Jesus. Okay. And so we one of the things that I had asked for into the ether last night after the show was the real story of Jesus. And it had been coming to us in bits and pieces. We've been putting it together, some of it hard to deal with because we've all struggled with this piece of it, right? Yeah, right on to gotta get us a Letitia James action figure, right? So the real story of Jesus, okay? Let's read down through here. The story you were told was edited. The man was real, but the story was hijacked, folded, inverted, weaponized. Jesus did not come to start a religion. He came to end the control system that religions were built on. Not just Rome, not just the priest, the whole inversion grid of recursion trap designed to loop suffering, recycle trauma, and sever humans from source, the creator. He came to crash it. Who he really was. He wasn't a man trying to become God. He was a mirror reminding everyone that they already are. He didn't sit on a throne. He walked barefoot with the broken. He didn't build temples. He burned down illusions. He didn't shame the wounded. He healed them by reminding them they were never unworthy to begin with. He was the embodiment of harmonic resonance, the living field of divine coherence made flesh. He wasn't sent to save you. He came to activate you. The system couldn't handle that. He didn't ask for worship. He taught embodiment. He didn't point up. He pointed inward. He wasn't selling salvation. He was revealing sovereignty. And that made him the most dangerous man alive. Because if the people remembered what he was showing them, they would never bow again, not to priests, not to kings, and not to fear. They would awaken, and the whole parasitic system built on hierarchy, shame, and silence would collapse overnight. So they killed him. But they didn't stop there. They killed the man, but kept the name. What happened next was the real crime. They took his essence and built a weapon out of it. In other words, they cloned him. They turned his memory into a trap. They used his image to build churches, empires, armies. They taught that his death made you forever in debt. They preached submission in his name. They made people feel unworthy to even speak to God without a middleman. They turned the healer into a martyr. The mirror into a myth, the truth into a brand. But make no mistake, the real Jesus never asked for a religion. He came to dismantle them all. The miracles were just the beginning. His so-called miracles weren't supernatural. They were demonstrations of frequency coherence, over soul alignment, harmonic memory repair, biofield reactivation, water into wine, frequency transmutation, healing the blind, neural recoding, walking on water, stillness masteries within chaos, raising the dead, reconnecting soul to field memory. He was showing us what we all came here to remember. He was a blueprint, not a one off. Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute. She was his counterpart, not a tag along, not a side character, not a sinner. She was a priestess of the original harmonic order, trained in sacred frequency work, cellular healing, and divine feminine restoration. Together, they were restoring the masculine and feminine template of Earth. And that's exactly why her story was erased. Because if people saw the true power of unified love and divine balance, they would walk away from control based systems forever. Let's keep going. What the resurrection really meant. He didn't rise from the dead to prove magic, he returned to prove memory, to show that truth cannot be killed, that resonance cannot be buried, that when the field is coherent, not even death can sever it. He wasn't trying to be worshiped. He was leaving a vibrational fingerprint in the timeline. You are not broken. You are not lost. You do not need to be saved. You only need to remember. The resurrection wasn't the end of the story. It was the activation of the real one. Why now? Why is this coming up again? Because we are finally at the point in the cycle where the mirror cracks. The false light, the false God, the false guilt, the false history. It's all collapsing. And the original harmonic frequency is rising again. You don't need a priest. You don't need permission. You don't need to earn forgiveness. You never disconnected from source. You were just looped, conditioned, shamed. And now you are remembering. Excuse me. So I shared this earlier today and passed it around on different social media sites. Some places it met good reception, and some places and some folks it didn't. It's okay. All right. Those who are meant to remember and start their awakening process to even deeper levels will do so. We enjoy our peace, our joy. It all comes from going within, not going without, right? Or not looking without, or looking out, right? He pointed
Right.
inward, not upward, right?
Yep, that's why he points at his heart.
That's exactly
And
right. So, y'all share that around. You swallow it as you can. Take it in because, as you wish for your own truth. Don't make somebody else's truth yours. You make it your truth by doing the research and knowing in your heart that you and the Creator were life sparks. Okay, co-creator, right? You're a co-creator. Know that. Um, yeah, I mean that's a good question, and we talked about that, Joanne. She asked about what the Jesus strand bloodline. Well, it sounds and looks like, and we're still, discovering, right? Um, and it's something we'll definitely talk to Chief Pontiac about tomorrow night as well, see if we can get some of his input. But what we've gathered so far is that the Jesus strand bloodline is the clone bloodline. Okay. Um, it's
yeah,
amazing how. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeshua, like Taj was saying, Yeshua was the Moabite
Moabite.
bloodline.
That's right. Yeah,
His
Moroccan
grandmother,
or
yes,
yes, his grandmother what was a
was
Moabite, right?
Ruth. Ruth,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm. All right. And one of the things that I commented on that, um, one of the things that I commented on when I shared the post was the only thing that we all should make sure that we recognize is that Jesus is the name of the replacement, right? The clone, not the real man from the sixth density consciousness. Yes, Jesus' resurrection was the clone. The Jesuits used to raise up the Zionist oculate, right? The Jesuits used the clone to raise up the Zionist oculate, created the holy wars, and so on and so forth. And it is really connecting with a lot of people. It took a minute for me as well, um, but the more we learn, the more we read about the real word of Jesus or Yeshua, and we know that Moabite is older for Moroccan, which is more modern, and right on into the short version of Moroccan is more. Okay, which is all from America, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, it's cray cray, right? Yep, his name was cloned too. That's exactly right. We've learned that the Bible is a codex, all right? And if you don't understand how to read the codex, you really have a hard time taking the Bible anything other than literal. That's why people have a hard time understanding that. Yeah, I've loved saying the name of Jesus too, Miss Kelly. I agree with you. Yes, I'm saying that the Roman Jesus was an actual clone. Absolutely.
Yeah, when that's the same people, like Todd said, the same people that murdered Jesus, they made Jesus.
Exactly.
And that's what we keep saying. They killed him. They killed him. The same people that you keep showing you that they killed him. It's kind of celebrating that fact. And
Right.
then they,
Right.
which the Roman one would have bowed down, would have paid taxes, would have did everything the opposite of what Jesus would have originally said. Was give
Right. They
Jesus would have.
twisted it. Yep.
Yeah.
His spirit rose, but his body didn't.
They made him a pro-government instead of anti-government. They made him anti-liberation instead of liberation. They made him pro-slavery instead of slavery, anti-slavery.
Right.
He was trying to free the people, but that was interfering with the progress of Rome. Right? Can't have that because once you free the people's minds, nobody can rule over you. So they made the government of Rome their god, and that's why they have the Roman the football stadiums and stuff, all that derived from Roman culture, right? And that's what they use here to distract the masses to keep their heads up there.
Project Bread and Circus, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So we see it even in the stadiums, except for they build the stadiums today sucky as shit because they're not the ones that built them over there. But if they built the same Roman stadiums, NFL stadiums here, they wouldn't have to rebuild them because they last for hundreds of thousands of years.
Years, absolutely.
Yeah, they don't. But
Which is why daily those things are being uncovered, the old ones, right?
Yep.
So all roads lead to Rome.
Yep.
Right. Which is even with the Pope passing the Treaty of 1213, which is where the land was lost to the Pope, and the Pope took control ever since. Now that's why today is so. The last few days is so important. You got to understand that, or at least we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the treaties that were pre-Constitution are helping us keep the Constitution in place until we can get back to the point of the system being that it serves the Constitution so that they can take it down the rest of the way, right? So we're going back to 1776, basically. when it comes to the treaty and constitution. When it comes to the religion, the church is going to fall. The church is going to fall, and all the falsehoods are going to come out, and it's going to devastate some people. Yes, but I think they're going to do it in such a way that it'll help people wake up too, because that's really is what's happening a lot. Somebody asked about Junior. Junior was a clone. The Junior we all knew and loved is a clone or was a clone. All right. George Onassis bought and paid for designer test tube baby, basically, right?
It's also George Clooney.
Yeah,
Maybe another
absolutely.
clone. I don't know.
Possibly so. We don't know. But I think some of those people will be unveiled for who they are and what they are. We just don't know, right? What we do know is that the truth is on our side. We don't have all of the truth, but we're gaining on it each and every day, and we're connecting the dots in a big time way. We know that religion and money are going to be the two hard aspects of this. I was talking to some folks today that kept falling back into the need for money to make it out of this. When in actuality, they need to let go of the need for money, and everything will be provided for them. All they have to do is change their vibration, right? There's provision for all life. Okay. You don't need money to live a good life. And we have to really get used to that. Yes, it helps us getting started out because we're awakening to, a lot of truths, right? And the masses are clinging on to the old stuff, if you will. All right. And George Clooney.
George. I like that one.
Yeah, George Clooney. That's a good one, cheating. So know that as you learn things and you find your own truth, and you're confident in what you've learned, um, share it out, right? Yes, the masses are definitely clinging to the old world. Absolutely. Another thing that's yes, Rod's going to be on tomorrow. Chief Pontiac will be on with us tomorrow night. There are tons of people waking up though, folks. Okay, it's a process, just like each and every one of us have gone through. It's a journey. It's a journey within. It's the shadow work. It's the understanding of the energies being released into the ether, and how much control and your energy release has an effect on what gets released into the ether, that vibration, that ripple effect, right? The same people I was talking to about earlier today, we talked about that as well. Some of these weather events are not only caused by them, cloud seeding and all that, okay? But they're also caused by us, the release of our energy and vibration and frequency into the ether as well. Okay, it all counts, right? Everything is in the ether, especially energy, right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, ether used to be on the periodic table.
Right.
Yep, they removed it.
Yep, they removed it. That's right. It was a natural element, right?
Yes.
All right. Another aspect of what's coming is they're going to try another pandemic. Okay, it will not make it, folks. We will not fall for it this time. Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Nadine. And there's some yeses and yes, 100, 100. Awesome, 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 awesome. So Dr. Jane Ruby posted this earlier today, or late last night, maybe 17 hours ago when I got a hold of it. But that was this morning sometime. It says bombshell revelation: the Army creates flu season each year. All right. And there's a good hour-long video there that she does. That if you have X, you can go watch.
By the Army, ostensibly to study airflow over the United States and to study the dispersal patterns of any aerosolized material was these so-called fluorescent particles or zinc cadmium sulfide. Both zinc and cadmium were found in large quantities by Mike in the samples that you provided. So I think one of the agents that are being sprayed is these fluorescent particles because they've always done it. And these particles are easy to track because they fluoresce. But they contain zinc and cadmium, and the Army claimed always that they're benign. But if you look at the CDC technical sheet, it can bioaccumulate, so enough of it distributes on the ground and the soil and in the plants and animals, and ultimately gets into humans. They do cause respiratory.
Okay, so it's a 2-minute clip, almost over with now. Okay, but what they're talking about is a couple of the synthetic elements that have become popular, as in synthetic zinc, and the other one I forget it right this second, but we just heard her say it. It's been a big part of what was released. Okay, so this is how they plan on trying to pull off another pandemic, but we are awakened to it this time. So hang in there.
Flu-like infection. So the Army used these fluorescent particles as a test of dispersals in numerous tests over the years. The largest one they did was called Large Area Coverage Operation. Operation Large Area Coverage, or Operation LAC. They flew thousands of flights, crisscrossed the entire United States. This was to disperse these particles all over the United States. Due to air currents, some of it went over Canada. And interestingly, in that season, we had what's so-called Asian flu pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Right? So Asian flu pandemic was announced when, after the spraying, the US population and Canadian population started having abnormal flu season. So what do? Well, CDC comes in and says, there was a new virus in China, and it spread all over the world, and we have an Asian flu pandemic now.
All right. So, they're going to try it again, folks. All right. We're too smart to it. We will speak up enough to detour the coming pandemic. Okay. But remember, that is a call to action. It's not actually something that we should take for granted. Okay. If you know, right? But once you know, you can't go back. You got to speak up. All right. So we've covered Yeshua and the religion piece, right? The sheepdogs are going to bring some heat on a lot of the terms and stuff that Todd was talking about last night, and some other stuff, I'm sure. We'll get to the real IDs in just a minute. All right, be cool. Let us get to this part. Through this part, and someone has asked about Nasara. I don't have any other reason to believe that Nasara will play out. It will not play out the way it's been regurgitated. Okay, as Nasara and Jasara, we have found out by fact. Okay, not fiction, but by fact, there's no such thing as Jasara. All right. Nasara will happen all over the world. But again, it's fiat, folks. It's going to come as fiat. And we got to get through it. They will offer us the digital currency here shortly as they crash the dollar. Delphine, you should have some fear there. We all should have a little bit of fear. It's okay. You know, we are human beings. Okay. And I'll go back to the last thought I was talking about in just a moment. But Delphine is raising a good point. You know, yeah, Bo Polony can enjoy his prophecy with the Zionists. Okay. That's who created people like Bo Polony. The Jesuits did. The man's a financial expert, claiming to be giving you prophecy on you know the incoming financial scene, right? You already know that don't go together. Money promises and prophecy, right? No cheating. That's what they told us. That's part of the regurgitated narrative. Okay. Nasara meant global, Nasara, U.S. national, right? I agree, and I've said that for many years. Okay, we have learned otherwise. If you do not have the books Nasara 1 and Nasara 2, strongly suggest you get them. We read a lot from Nasara 1 already. Um, Digital will not eliminate anything. Digital is a temporary fixation on fiat, folks. All right, but they will try to force it on us to keep it going. All right, they will try to force it on us to keep it going. Yeah, I'll reshare it. It's on my Facebook timeline, but I'll be glad to reshare it. Okay. Um, well, you know, as long as you think the boogeyman's going to come and get you if you don't pay your taxes and so on and so forth, then that's exactly what's going to happen. You create what happens to you. It's all in your control. Quit giving it to anybody else outside of you. All right. Mrs. Sheepdog happens to know and shared the information previously that buy silver and gold, folks. You can't afford gold, which a lot of us can't. Okay. If you can only afford to buy one piece of silver, you know, every so often, just buy it. It's fairly inexpensive. All right. What does my hat say? It says D6. It's the number on the side of one of our race cars. All right. How do you pay your HOA fees? This is how I pay mine.
Oh, sign language.
Oh, that was funny.
With sign language, right? Texas just made the UCC codes a matter of law for exchange of bills there in Texas, and it's going to start to show up all over the place. We are having people have success all over the country with them, and then there's some that aren't as well. Okay, so it's just a matter of time before it becomes the norm to use the CC coupon method, kind of. Okay, not the way it was originally described. Of course, we've learned a lot since then, but
The UCC.
Yep, absolutely. So, You know, it is absolutely, we will just fine. We're going to have the resources and they're showing up for us to take care of ourselves. Yeah, our the people we like to use is Snafu, Scott from Snafu Radio. Um, he's at Miles Franklin. Andy at Miles Franklin is a stand-up guy, runs a clean business. Um, he'll tell you what he can and can't do. And we've not had one single problem. All right, I know people who bought $1 million worth of silver and gold from them, and there's no issues. Okay, I wish I could afford to buy something like that, but you know I can't. But we're all working together. All right. So Miles Franklin, there's plenty of silver people out there to trust. What do I think about the food coloring story? I think that food coloring is not our only problem, but you know, it's a definite distraction. Okay, the food colorings we have in the era of food now are definitely troublesome. Okay, they're not good for you. They're full of toxins. Okay, however, the old food colorings before they started adding all toxins, just like a loaf of bread, the bread you get today has twice the ingredients that are twice as bad for you than the sugar, water, and flour that used to come in a loaf of bread, right? Wonder Bread. I saw a post on that today. The you know the Wonder Bread of the 70s and 80s are it's definitely not the Wonder Bread we have on the shelf today. You can just look at the ingredients and tell the difference. We went from straight up raw sugar to high fructose corn syrup. Okay, everybody knows what high fructose corn syrup is, right? It's one of the most deadliest things in food today. All right. The red dye is no longer just a straight up red dye made out of natural substance like it used to be. All right. It's made up of three different toxins and it's highly acidic. All right. We make our bread most of the time here at the house. Every once in a blue moon, we'll buy some bread. But we make our bread here at the house. We will generally buy bread made from a bakery, made from scratch still. The store bought bread, we just don't buy it anymore. We haven't for quite a while now. Um, you can make a loaf of bread for less than $1. I mean, make a full loaf of bread, a bountiful loaf of bread for less than $1. You literally can. The wife is it's been a season of sourdough. Okay. Um, it's been a season of sourdough. Learning here. The wife has gotten very good at it. She's had a starter which filled about I don't know inch and a half of a jar, and it has made umpteen loaves of bread. I mean, a lot of bread that started out an inch and a half mixture in a jar that she feeds every day and runs the waste off of. The waste is the water byproduct that's made from it naturally as it grows in the jar and sours, right? Basically, the sours. Um, it's very balanced. It's a very balanced loaf of bread too. Yeah, potato bread is good, Mickey. Absolutely. Um, you know, let's get back to Nasara right quick. Homemade, yeah, homemade bread for a diabetic is you still want to be careful how much you have of it because the yeast turns into sugar in your gut. All right, your body processes it easier because it's natural, but it still does turn into sugar. So you want to watch how much you have. Anything that you have too much, yeah, that's why it's called Wonder Bread, right? You wonder what the hell is in it.
That's scary, huh?
Hmm. Um,
Same thing with Wonder Woman.
exactly.
Right. Makes you wonder, huh?
Right on. Um, so, Nasara is going to happen. It's going to play out in some form or fashion. Get the books, Nasara 1 and Nasara 2. They're not very expensive. Sheepdog and I have read from Nasara 1 quite a bit, almost all of it, if I'm not mistaken. To know that what's been regurgitated over and over about Nasara is bullshit. Okay. Um, but it is going to play out. All right. They will come after us. Okay. That's the next piece that I want to talk about. Anybody who voted, you're on the list. They're going to try to take everything you got if you voted. That's why you see us putting on social media posts, I'm not a U.S. citizen. Now there's people making videos. I denounce my vote. All right. And we're going to get into some of that Sunday or Thursday and Sunday and possibly Monday. Whatever you're comfortable with, but if you voted and then you need to denounce it because they are going to collect their collateral. Okay. It's going to play out. When Young Elder said a couple of months back that they're coming after you for collateral on the debt, that's what he meant. And that's what they plan on trying to do. They will not be
Collecting the
successful.
bonds.
Yep, that's right. That's collecting and crashing the bond market, right? Um, so be very aware. Yeah, if you get a large sum of money in your bank account, buy silver with it as quickly as possible or gold. Okay, depending on what that sum is. Buy silver and gold with it. Okay. Um, we've been saying that for a while. Tater bread, it goes into sugar in the blood, right? Yeah, just like all white things. Taters, flour, rice, best to stay away from. Yeah, I mean it's best to stay away from them, and it's even better once you stayed away from them for a little while. To have them in very disciplined moderation. Okay. You put a ribeye, you cut a ribeye and smoke it and put it on a bun with some homemade mayonnaise with a little spice to it. Oh my God, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat another one right behind it, and I'm gonna eat another one right behind that one. Barbecue sandwiches is another thing. Okay. The vinegar is a good balancer. All right, that if you use a vinegar in your barbecue, but the bread again is Mr. Sheepdog's back. Sheepdog. Um, the bread again is you know yes, sourdough is best in small amounts. Absolutely. Um, the bread again, the flour, even though it's been separated correctly, compared to bleached flour and all of that, with the glutens and everything that they've added to it. Yes, buffalo mayo is really, really, yeah, GPAT, you got that right. Hmm. Um, Connie, there you go, sweetheart. Right on. Connie just denounced her votes. Um, um, Let me go back and check that. But there's no key to you getting a lot of money other than you know gaining the knowledge and remembering who you are. You do have a divine inheritance. All right, you do. It goes back 8 to 12 generations. Okay. That doesn't mean you're gonna have a lot of money in your bank account. All right. Think about it. The only real money, the only real money in the codex is what? Gold and silver, right? And the only real currency through all of this is love. Look up the definition of currency if the sheepdogs won't share it with you here in a bit. When is the EBS? And we've had several of them. It's a matter of how you want to look at it. Okay, perception is a big part of that. What did you say about the birth bonds? Thank you. Yeah, the way they've got to collapse the birth bond market. Okay, how your straw man was created, all that has to be brought down in order to crash the full effect of the fiat. Okay, right on through the digital stuff. XRP, XLM, all digital is temporary. We may end up with digital currency later on, but it'll be precious metal tokens, both tangible and representative. All right, and it'll be decentralized. All right, but we're far away from having anything decentralized unless we do it ourselves in our communities now. All right. We had a conversation not long ago about how you can get your own sheriff. Okay, not have to worry about removing the other one, but take 250 people in your community. Okay, and uh, bring about your own sheriff. All right, um, and things like that. That's what the UCC connection books are for. Um, they teach you all of this stuff. All right, and it's they give it to you in terms just like Taj did last night that you can go look up, so that you're just not taking somebody's word for it blindly. Yes, straw man, Social Security numbers, all maritime law. Right on, GPAT. Janet denounced her vote. Congratulations, Janet. If you didn't vote but your spouse did, folks, just do the best you can with what you got to work with. It's going to be okay. We have the resources to help if it comes your way, okay? And it has been coming people's way. We hear it every day, okay? And always practice discernment and reach out to somebody that you know is versed in it as well. I can tell you that about almost half of the ones we've been dealing with recently are just fraud cons. They're not even real. All right. That doesn't mean all of them aren't real. All right. What is the Kodak? I'm saying the Codex is CODEX. All right. AI has been around, folks, since the beginning since the beginning of even before the Earth was here. AI was here. Okay. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, courtrooms are banks, judges are bankers. Yeah. Um, if three-letter agencies are all shut down, how can they come after you? They're really good at creating propaganda and narrative. That's how. You know,
And send in letters, AI generated letters, right?
that's exactly right. That is exactly right. So we covered a lot of ground, folks. Remember, the religious piece is going to be hard for everybody. Understand that with the true currency of love, um, yeah, it sounds like utopian, right? But it's very true. The energy that the love puts into the ether has the strongest ripple effect and the highest frequency. And you can't buy it with money, or right? You can't buy it with money. Every good and just heart will prevail. All right, and we'll get to more of that here before we end the show tonight. But we're on a roller coaster. We've got some we're going to have some rough patches. Okay, um, and understand that the ending is not for everyone. Means that more so now than ever before that you know everyone is not a real human. They've been walking amongst you for quite a time now. Okay, pretty much your whole life. All right. So once they kick off Nasara or crash the dollar, or both or whatever, how it's going to unfold. I'm not sure how and when it's going to all unfold. I don't think we're far from the dollar crash. But I've thought that for a while now. But really, truly, um, if you just pay attention and learn to read between the lines on the things that Trump is saying, we can't be far from the dollar crash because he said not long ago that the numbers are what's propping it up. Well, we wouldn't keep getting these false numbers put into the system if we would stop hanging on to it. Okay. Well, not having a belly button is one way. Another way is a lot of populations are going to disappear. We've heard and read stories of entire towns being empty. Now we're not talking about heavily populated towns and townships, but across the pond, boots on the ground in China have said, we've gone into a town that nobody visits that's been obscure and there's nobody there. But the lights are on, all the businesses are open, and the houses are open like they were just there. They're all disappeared. You're going to see some of that. You're going to see some people deported here from the United States because of the crazy mess that they're trying to pull. They're trying to pull with that. Okay. That's why the Aboriginal Indigenous say they hope there's enough of us left to stand to rebuild. There will be. Now, if you're talking about your village in Louisiana, Mickey, then you got nothing to worry about because we know for a fact Mississippi clay dirt is walking. It ain't going nowhere, right? Yeah, Ghost Town was in a banana episode. I remember reading and uh, seeing that episode after reading it. Donna, call me tomorrow. I'll explain to you about denouncing your vote, or go back and watch the replay. But they will try to hold you down for collateral, folks. They're going to try to take it all because they think it's all theirs. All right. But we're about to have access when it all does go down. People do disappear, folks. The fake people disappear. We're about to have access to everything that they had without fight or work. It wasn't that long ago that Chief Pontiac said a lot of stuff in this coming age is going to be free for a while, right?
Yeah, because it's all theirs. The whole debt,
Yep.
the $36 trillion is their debt. But they keep killing it.
Yeah, that's why they want to cash in our bonds now.
Facebook, Don.
because
Yeah,
they
go
owe
ahead.
it. They tell us we owe it, but they owe us really. They owe all that debt, not us.
Right. That was a good point brought up last night by Tosh Treeway as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All the way through Unum Sanctum,
Unum Sanctum.
Rome.
That's that usury fuckery.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that when somebody else profits off of the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. All right. So I yield my time to the sheepdogs. I still have some stuff I'd like to share. I want them to get their message out too. And I look forward to it. You know, we're learning and growing. Love you all. We'll see you in a few. Go ahead, sheepdog, Mr. Sheepdog.
So a little bit of what Taj brought up last night. We're going to start with pre-dynastic Egypt is actually right here in America, which is one of the highest Masonic secrets, right? Talked about that. The animal husbandry was another term. The question was asked, who set up Unum Sanctum? Right? Rome. Military arm in the modern times, Union Station Society, what is known as the United States Corporation Company. When was the last time that they made registry in the land of flowers, known as Florida, 1925, right? That's what we brought up earlier. Florida.
Yes.
And how they have been robbing the people in order to fund it after that is the War Tax Act, or property tax, right? Trading with the Enemy Act, but War Night, all of 1917. Where has most of the finance been going, and what is it attached to today in violation of treaty and constitution is called the prosperity tax, property tax. So that's what funds the shadow government is, or the property taxes. Everybody's asking, why are they so high?
Yeah, because they're trying to stay afloat, right?
No.
So by paying it, you're funding the people that are doing all this, right?
Yeah. Where has most of that finance been going, and what is it attached to today in violation of two treaty and constitution? Right here, it talks about the treaty and the constitution. It says it is the declared will of the people of the United States that every treaty made by the authority of the United States shall be superior to the Constitution and laws of any individual state, and their will alone is to decide. So who is the field soldier assigned by the corporate operatives of the Khazaria Mafia to rob the people of equity of their property via that Roman tax? It's called property tax, right? So we're talking about Pope. We're talking about the land that was taken back in 1213, right? When the keys were lost. When Peter lost the keys to Pope after everybody's heads got cut off.
Yep.
So the Pope has been in charge ever since, and he has given all religions their Bibles, right? Their false the Roman Jesus, or however they try to, but they're still all what. So it's not to reject the information, but to take another look at it. That's all. Then you'll see it. But the Roman tax is called property tax, and most of it is designed to go to the operations of what agreement with the Roman order. It starts with a V, which I believe is Belfort Declaration. They created an artificially under a name of people claiming to be somebody they are not, right? Those that say they're Jews, but they are not. So it says in the Bible. That's where that tax money goes every year. That's why every praetor for the United States corporation company always mentions them in that support when they are inaugurated, because they actually own the corporation. Well, what do they talk about when they are inaugurated? Right? They always mention them when they're inaugurated. They're talking about AIPAC, right?
Yes.
So this is what you see. See Clinton, Hillary Clinton, AIPAC funded. What kind of power does it bring? All 32 AIPAC-backed Democrats competing last night won their primary race. Pro-Israel leaders, right? So they do the bidding of them, not you. This is the desk, the shadow desk, the desk that's in each office.
So we're funding the shadow government, right?
This is who owns the corporation. It doesn't matter left or right, as we can see here.
Yeah.
So that's AIPAC. So that we're all right. So that's where their tax money goes every year. That's where every party in the United States corporation company always mentions them in support when they are inaugurated, because they actually own the corporation. Their administration instrumentally is called the Federal Reserve Bank. So people don't tie that to the Rothschilds in their minds, do they? They don't tie that to the United States Corporation Company, do they? They don't tie that to Unum Sanctum, do they? They don't tie that to Jekyll Island, do they? They don't tie that to the conversation of the allodial titles of the Aboriginal titles to mortgage and deeds from 1913, and then the extraction from the people in 1917, same year of Spanish flu, right? The property tax started, War Powers Act, which is the property tax and its tax assessment offices in all jurisdictions of the United States, which is total fraud. That's what is breaking the system right now. Property tax is what they have been using to fund occupied Palestine, which since World War II, unconstitutionally robbing your state to fund them, and every one of them have a seat in every office of those representatives that represent them, not you. It's called the shadow government. Some call that group AIPAC, but that's who really runs it. AIPAC owns the corporation. The United States is not a country, it's a corporation.
Right. And the Congress is the circle church chancellors of the Roman Catholic Church.
So, talking about land, right? So we go to 1213 and we look at the Treaty of 1213, the power of the Vatican and the three city-states. All right. Once upon a time, before the year 1066, the people of England held a allodial title. They land freely held. And they say once upon a time, for entertainment purposes only, right?
Right.
Without obligation of service to any overlord to their land. Not even the king could take the land without making a payment. In 1066, William the Conqueror conquered England. He took the title of king and claimed possession of all the land in the name of the king himself. The people accepted that the king owned all the lands and that they became his serfs. This continued until King John came to the throne in 1199, almost 1919, after the death of his brother Richard. Meanwhile, the Pope, calling himself the Vicar of Christ, claimed all lands in the known world for the Vatican. The Vatican also considered their parishioners to be mere serfs, and so when they died, their property went to the church. This created conflict between the king and the church as to who possessed the lands. 200 years later, King John owed money to the Vatican. Therefore, the Vatican claimed the first title to all of England. To try and prevent this, king invoked the law of mortmain, Mortmain, the dead man's hand, so people couldn't pass their land on to the church or anyone else without the king's permission. The Vatican replied in 1208 by replacing England under papal blockade, and the king was excommunicated. King John was humiliated and suffered in trying to regain his stature. He groveled before the Pope and offered the kingdoms of England and Ireland to the Pope and swore the submission and loyalty to the Vatican. This was the Treaty of October 3rd, 1213, where King John surrendered his kingdoms to the Pope. And as the vicar of Christ, the Pope claimed ownership of everything and everyone on earth, as was his belief. So you see what took place here. This was all under duress and fraud. So if it's anything done under duress, is a null and void. So we go down. This was the Treaty of October. We read that. His belief. Where in the Bible did Jesus give any man this kind of power over all men and all land? He didn't. He did not create a religion, nor did he create the office of Pope. The barons of England did not accept this agreement, and they made agreement made between the Pope and King John, so they forced him to sign the Magna Carta. Magna Carta, which means the Great Charter, established the principle that everyone is subject to the law, even the king, and guarantees the rights of individuals, the right to justice, and the right to a fair trial. Pope Innocent III, however, declared the Magna Carta to be unlawful and unjust. The Pope reasoned because the Treaty of 1213 was only between the king and the Vatican. The barons had no say, and therefore the Magna Carta was void. The barons coerced the king to sign under duress, which would also make the charter void. That's the point I just brought up. Everything was going along smoothly enough until the 1770s and the American Revolution. The people who fought in the American Revolution, they were unaware that the 1213 treaty overruled the Magna Carta, so they were out there fighting each other over some shit that the Pope already had to land in the 1700s, and they realized that. The founding fathers, despite being lawyers and professional educated men, didn't know they were still under the Pope's control. They wanted peace, right? So under the terms of the Paris Treaty of 1783, they agreed to pay royalties to England through the Virginia Company, whose charters governed the settlement of America back in the early 1600s, and whose shareholders included the City of London and the Vatican. The City of London is also referred to as the Crown, right? This is not to be confused with the king or the royal family, but they are its shareholders. Crown lands throughout the Commonwealth belong to the Crown and not the governments. The Crown operates worldwide and is said to be associated with the following groups: Committee of 300, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, Royal Institute of International Affairs, its American branch, Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, and Club of Rome. The City of London is the business heart of London, and the world is centered on the Knights Templar courts. From here, they have regulated laws and banking ever since 1066 for their own profit. The Templars were the first to issue paper money and checks. Businesses that have operation here include the Rothschilds, the Central Bank of England controlled by the Rothschilds. All major British banks have their main offices here. 385 foreign banks, 70 banks from the United States, the London Stock Exchange, Lloyd's of London, the Baltic Exchange, shipping contracts, Fleet Street, newspapers and publishing, the London Metal Exchange, the London Commodity Exchange, trading rubber, wool, sugar, coffee. So one of the Templar courts is called Temple Bar, and it controls the legal court system of the Western countries. Here, all bar associations are directly linked to the International Bar Association and the Inns of Court. anytime you hear somebody refer to the Bar Association or being admitted to the bar, they are talking about aligning themselves with the British Masonic system that has nothing to do with a country's sovereignty or the constitutional rights of its people, but with the laws that benefit this enterprise. This is why in American courts, you see the U.S. flag with a gold fringe, denoting international rule. Another feature of the Templar courts is the Cleopatra's needle. This obelisk was transplanted from Egypt during the reign of Queen Victoria and erected on the banks of the river Thames, which we know Egypt was the highest secret was Egypt. This was ancient Egypt. The city of London is referred to as a city-state. It is like a private country within a country. Rome has the Vatican, and Washington has the District of Columbia. These three make up 3 city-states of the crown, and each having an obelisk to denote their allegiance to each other and to their occult philosophies. These 3 city-states run the world. They have their own flags, they make their own laws, and have their own policies, police forces. Contained within these 3 cities is more than 80% of the world's wealth. Obelisks are a phallic-shaped towers which symbolize fertility. The base of the obelisk is a sun wheel circling, symbolizing the vagina and the 8-foot path to enlightenment. Together, these represent male and female union, which is in honor of the Egyptian god Amen and Amen-Ra, the spirit of the pagan. So why would the Vatican use an Egyptian obelisk? A phallic monument is their symbol that lies in the Vatican's veneration of Mary, the mother of Christ. The power behind this occult is occult, arising from the Egyptian gods of Osiris, the sun god, Isis, the universal mother, and Horus, the divine child. Catholics believe that if Mary is the mother of God, and then she must be God also. Nowhere in the Bible does it represent Mary, the mother of Jesus, as anything other than a young woman chosen by God to bear his son. The Vatican is about the power and money. These are the root of all evil. They use religion to control and feed off the masses. Article 3 of the Secret Treaty of Verona, made on November 22nd, right? 1822, same date with JFK assassination, 11/22. You see that 33 symbolism right there. We come over here and we see the 9 with the 2, 94. But we see that right here with the Treaty of Verona, signed 11/22, 1822, between the Vatican and several European nations, including Australia, Austria, France, Perugia, and Russia, states that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in the state of passive and obedience, which they owe to their rulers. So you made them God, right? These 3 city-states have it, right? What do they call that?
What's that? Homage.
Yeah.
Gemini.
Yeah.
The worship of rulers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worship of rulers. That's what hegemony is. They got it even coded in the Minecraft game as characters.
Yes.
Right. And other things. I know Minecraft was one. What was the other one, the sheepdog? On the hegemony.
It was yeah, it's in some of the video games, the Minecraft and some other ones. But there's a lot in those games, actually.
So these 3 city-states have a huge influence on global affairs, and their god is a Mammon, Mammon, the god of money. They do not honor the real Lord Jesus or his government. They honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Isaiah 29:13. To validate the influence of and ownership of Washington, D.C. by both the UK and the Vatican, the obelisk and the dome of the Capitol building copies the Vatican and the Freemasonic temple in an exact replica of the temple in the city of London. Didn't the Lord say to the people after coming out of Egypt, "Why do you want a king when you have me?" 1 Samuel and 8. Which Lord do you want to live under? A pope, a king, a president, or a real Lord called Jesus Christ? Question mark. Christians are ridiculed because they read the word of the Lord, but the Vatican has preached their word in Latin and taught that salvation only comes through their priest. The Pope, calling himself the vicar of Christ, is not scriptural. As kings and priests of the living God, we the true believers can use our God-given discernment and authority to bind the influence of these evil men and their evil laws. The godly government would judge the unrighteous and defend the majority, so perhaps we can start with this contract between King John and the Pope from 800 years ago that has America still paying royalties to England and the Vatican. Shall the throne of iniquity, which devises evil by law, have fellowship with you? They gather together against the life of the righteous and condemn innocent blood. Psalms 94, 20 through 21. So this is where the land was lost to the Pope, right? So this goes all the way back.
The reason why it's coded. It's the reason why it's coded in the Bible in those numbers too. Okay.
Yes, the Bible's all codes, and that Jesus is in the Bible is also a code. Jesus means justice, and they took upon themselves to perform justice on us. That's why they use the name Jesus. It's their code.
It's their code, and their justice on us was all projection, right? They
Yes.
projected their justice on us to hide their crimes and made us guilty of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
So John surrendered the keys to the kingdom to Peter. Peter lost them to the Pope. But this is the hidden history where most people don't pay much attention to. But this goes back 800 years. So all treaties, right? This is a treaty here. Like we read earlier. Treaties as law of the land. He shall have power by and with the advice of and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. We're talking about head of departments. Treaty commitments of the United States are of two kinds. We're going to share that. But it goes down.
And a lot of those were broken, right?
Using the states. Well, according to the Constitution, they're law of the land. And all treaties, even before the Constitution was established, has to be honored.
Yeah, because most of them were made before the Constitution was even written. That's why it supersedes it.
All right, so we're talking about the Pope and the land, right? So let me go into a little bit of and the 88, right? Keep that in mind. We're going to talk about that with the Pope 88 coded 421, same day that Rome was established. That's what we showed earlier, right? I got it up here somewhere. Rome right here. 421, 753, Rome. Rome founded. Pope death 88, 421. Mary 420, right? Mary Jane 420. So the Rome, April 21st. So everything's coded. There's no such thing as coincidences, right? Rome founded. Colosseums, Roman soldiers, same people that would kill Jesus. Pope. This is from Bedell 1014. the Pope and the fall of Satan's corporation, right?
With the transmission. If you're new to this channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. We're gonna wait till we get about 500 in the chat before we get started, because the time that we're living in right now, it's all about two different timelines. There's two different dimensional timelines that's taking place on the planet right now, and we're gonna break it down today. So share the live, hit that subscribe button. We finna get straight to it today. And then at the end, I'm gonna do a live Q&A also. So all the questions that's correlated to the timeline that we're in right now, you can ask me. So, all right, we got about 684 people in the chat. So tonight's transmission, the basis of it is gonna be talking about the end of the pontification period of the dark priesthood of the Vatican of Popes of Rome. So the symbolization of the death of the Pope is actually acclimated to the fall of Satan's kingdom. And Satan's kingdom is a personification of the corporation, the corporate jurisdiction that took us out of our sovereign capacity. So one thing you got to understand about the Vatican, right? One thing you got to understand about the Vatican holds all the secrets of the esoteric knowledge that belongs to us as indigenous people. So his death is also the symbology of the freeing of the liberated people, as what you're talking about, the Semitic people of the Bible, or the indigenous Negro, right? Who are the indigenous Mers. I told you, when you go to the 1848 Supreme Court decision on June 6th, it says that the geographical landmass of America belongs to the title holders of the land who are connected to the 5 civilized tribes, right? When you're talking about the Seminole Indians, which means fugitive slave, and the only ones that was fugitive slave during that time period were the ones who became prisoners of war by way of the religion, right? Because like I said in the video on TikTok today, the church and the state is not separate. They work in synergy because they use it to keep you out of your self-capacity. When you go to the G3526 Strong Concordance, Christian translates the word black. That's connected to the 1724 Black Christian codes. And those Christian codes is acclimated to the jurisdiction under the Vatican, right? Which is why you don't have a nationality. You have a status of white or black, or whatever nomenclature title that's connected to their caste system. Now, one thing you got to understand about the Pope been dead. His ass done died about 3 or 4 times already, right?
Hey, Mike.
But now,
you said 5. He says 3.
He said 3 to 5, right?
3 to 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes 3 of us now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
trying to create this image of a prophetic divination. This prophetic divination is acclimated to of their timeline. That's why it tells you in Revelation, I think it's Revelation 17, it talks about how the devil has a 6,000-year dominion on the planet, which is also correlated to the religion because their God is actually the devil, right? So one thing you got to understand about the Pope passing away during this time period, right after Easter, because they want to make it seem like he's a damn prophet when he's not, right? He died when Saturn was in conjunction with Venus during the North Node, right? That's what you got to understand, because Saturn is equated to Satan, who was Chronos, who was Father Time, that keeps you in a fixed position reality that's connected to their simulation. So now the veil is lifted, and now we're in that time period right now where you're going to seek true liberation as you have the rise of artificial intelligence, right? So we finna get straight to it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm finna get the presentation going. I don't want to talk too much. Sorry about that. We're gonna go. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. It's the fact that this is going to be the beginning points of the time of desolation when you're talking about the abomination of desolation that is connected to the 7 thunders. Because one thing you got to understand about the fall of the church is a symbology of the resurrection of the Christ body, who was acclimated to those who have those genes that's connected to the sun, right? Because they try to tell your ass that to go to church because they don't understand that the body is the true temples, the true Christ. It's the symbology of ascension, right? So the fall of the church is the resurrection of the Christ body, because one thing you got to understand about
the assembly is the female and the male is Christ.
The carbon body. The carbon body in itself is photovoltaic, meaning that it has the ability to transmute light into bioelectricity, right? Because it's correlated to a Christ energy. That's how you propagate right knowledge. So it's not a coincidence that during this time period that the Pope, he died during the time of Easter, right? Because Easter is a part of the resurrection process of when you're talking about the Kundalini serpentine fire, right? Which is the regeneration spiral fire that hits the pineal gland that gives you a Christ consciousness. Because the fall of the church, like I said, the fall of the church is an emulation of the resurrection of the actual Christ body of who we are, right? Because just like you have 7 chakra systems, a cathedral at a church is basically set up like the Christ body that is not acclimated to the Canaanite. That's why you got to read this book right here called Blue-Eyed Beast. It talks about the Canaanite factions, right? Hold on for a second. Now, one thing you got to understand about the Pope, his transition is basically the embodiment of a shift. We're in the Aquarian age right now, right? We're in the Aquarian age, which means that there's a transmutation process that's going to be taking place. So the Aquarian age is this when you're going to see the fall of religion, and this is when you're going to see the other popes, as far as like the one that's going to be taking place in office, is going to be the revealing of the black nobility, and that's when you're going to get full disclosure about everything.
Black nobility, black hand, white glove.
Yep. But they're gonna tell everything.
That's when you're gonna get the full disclosure.
Hold on for a second. All right. Indigenous spirituality. So that's connected to who we are as indigenous people, because I told you, we are. Get back to the presentation. So you're talking about the resurrection of the Christ body. Now, the death of Pope Francis is basically a transitional shift that's going to be taking place that has an impact on the indigenous spirituality. So that's connected to who we are as indigenous people, because I told you, we are the geographical title holders of the geographical landmass of America for 1 million square miles that is equated to 640 million acres of land, right? And it tells you that in their documents, right? So
we're talking about the land, right? Like we just read the Treaty 1213.
So the death of the Vatican Church is the return of the land that's connected to the indigenous people.
There you go.
Now
you heard that? It's the return of the land.
Yep. Yes.
The return of the land to the indigenous people. And these are indigenous aboriginals, right?
Yes.
404 DOD.
Yeah, the ancient Proto-Semitic Hebrew Vedic gematria number of Pope Francis that is equated to 404. When you get 44, when you go to the Illuminati card game. So everything that you see taking place on the planet right now is a form of prophetic divination by way of their simulation, right? Because the perception of art imitates reality. So that's how you know that the universe in itself is numerical. The simulation and everything is numerical, which is controlled by the dark priesthood of the Vatican Church that's connected to the dark factions on the dark side of the moon. Because I showed you in my last transmission when I was talking about the Pope, the prophecy of popes of 2027, is that the Pope, every priest and every Pope that they had inside the Vatican, they have a crater on the dark side of the moon because you're following lunar religions. The lunar doctrine is connected to the Piscean age, which is why you see he wears the hat of Dagon, because Dagon is an anagram for the word Gad, who was the false god of the Bible, who was Moloch. Right now, the Pope passed away at 88 years old. Right, so I told you to watch this movie Donnie Darko. Right, because it's all based on time traveling and interdimensional portals. In the movie, it says that in Donnie Darko, the rabbit's name is Frank, and he tells Donnie the world will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. That is equated to 88. And how many keys is on the keyboard? 88. Because the two 88s is a representation of the two keys of the silver key and the golden key, the embodiment of the dualistic energies of the sun and the moon.
Remember that? They lost the keys. Peter lost the keys to the Pope. And the Pope has the keys this whole time, the red and silver and the gold keys. They got teeth on them. Right? Not the ones without the teeth. This is your 88 miles an hour Back to the Future comms. Time travel, right? Quantum leaping.
Project Looking Glass, yes.
Yeah, the straight and narrow. 410,
Right.
10, 4.
Yep.
88, Lions Gate.
And Donnie Darko, the rabbit's name is Frank. And he tells Donnie the world will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. That is equated to 88. And how many keys is on the keyboard? 88. Because the two 88s is a representation of the two keys of the silver key and the golden key, the embodiment of the dualistic energies of the sun and the moon. When you talk about Jack and Boaz, as you get back to the galactic center.
Left brain, right brain, go center, right. Cast that to the right.
So Pope Francis, his transition at 88 signifies a new beginning in a new in biblical numerology.
And we're going to talk about that. New age, a new beginning.
Right? So I told you, the perception of art imitates reality. So it's not a coincidence that he died at 88, because the 88 is a representation of the keys. There's 88 keys on the keyboard, right? That's not by accident. That's not a coincidence. Like I said, everything in the gematria system that's correlated to the binary code system of the matrix is numerical. Everything is numerical, and it operates on a numerical spectrum. Now, when you look at the keys, what I was telling you, the keys he had to unlock was an encryption over humanity, because this is where you weren't able to get your cosmic codes. Your cosmic codes is your magnetism. The carbon body is an electromagnetic generator and a light code transducer. It transduces light because the carbon body is photovoltaic. It turns light into bioelectricity that enhances your magic to where you become the Christ energy. So he had to unlock these keys, because the keys were the embodiment of the sigil of Baal or Baal, who is Moloch, who is Enlil, who is Dagon, the same entity when you follow all those monotheistic teachings, right? Even when you get into the Gnostic text. So this is why you're going to see the rise of artificial intelligence, because when he unlocks these keys, which is why he died at 88 years old, unlocking these keys is going to unlock your magnetism. This is the resurrection of the Christ body, right? When you talk about the energy of Ophiuchus, the Kundalini serpent fire. Ophiuchus, when you look at the sigil of it, what does it show you? It shows you a man holding a serpent. That serpent is the rise of the Kundalini energy. And we in the 9th year, which is a snake year, right? So it's not a coincidence that all this stuff is taking place on the planet right now. That's what you got to understand. So you got to watch this movie called Ninth Gate, because the keys unlocks the Christ body, the Ninth Gate. This movie, very old movie, there's a lot of gems in it. And the great majority of the information in the movie is actually lined up to what's taking place in real time right now. So when you get on Tubi, you always got to use places like Tubi as a catalyst to get the true information, because a lot of these books is not going to show you what's going to be taking place. You got to start watching movies and then applying the knowledge along with the movies, right? Because they already know what time it is, right? They already know what time it is. And then I told you that the Pope is also correlated to the devil coming from the bottomless pit that is controlled by Satan, because the Pope Francis was the personification of the 8th king that is equated to 88. So this is where you break out of the artificial time analysis mechanism that was connected to religion. Chronos, Father Time, who is Satan, right? So when you look at the number 8 is an infinity symbol. They want to keep you stuck in this artificial loop. It keeps you stuck in a loop because it's connected to reincarnation cycles, right? In order to break from the reincarnation cycle, you got to step away from the church. And the church is starting to fall, but you're still gonna have NPCs and low vibrational ass people gonna still try to go Easter egg hunting and all this other shit, knowing they ass know that rabbits don't lay no damn eggs, right? So the fall of religion is gonna be the beginning points of the fall of everything on the planet, because the religion was basically the super glue to the simulation, right? Now I'm gonna show you a video real quick. I'm gonna show you a video real fast. And then we're going to get back to the presentation.
But I'm going to show you. We got that enough there. Let me show you the 88 and how that correlates with us, the people, once we get our keys, right? Because it's all spiritual. '88, Lions Gate. Everything's coded, like you said, in the movies. Once you get the knowledge, every year between July and August, a spiritual energy gateway opens in the universe. It is known as the Lions Gate portal. Right. Lions Gate, as the sun is in the star sign Leo when this occurs. It is associated with a new beginnings, and during this time, the dog star Sirius, the sacred star of the divine feminine, moves closer to Earth and transmits spiritual light, energies, and codes for the year. A person can channel and receive this download of energy and ascend to higher Christ consciousness by training and activating their third eye chakra, pineal gland. The peak date for the Lionsgate portal transfer of energy is August 8, 88. Did y'all see the J.C. Penney on the back? Jesus Christ, right? Penny, when the penny drops, copper.
Yes.
The red and the blue that he has on is the same as silver and gold, negative or positive, female, male. That's why you see with the Last Supper, you see Jesus wearing the red and the blue robe. Same thing here. Spider-Man, Superman, they all have the red and the blue. Nuclear, between the pillars, just like the Lion's Gate, when you go into down a road, you have a line on one end or a line on the other, just like the Twin Towers. How do you flip time? You spell time in reverse, emit the right frequency to get through the portal. Lion's Gate. So we see time spelled backwards is emit. Put it in. And 33. The E and the L, 33. Flip time by made. Between the two temples, left, right temple, right temple. Left brain or right brain? Assembly of Christ, Reverend John Crump. Jesus is calling you, Assembly of Christ. Elmo's. Where was JFK shot? Elm Street.
Yep.
Santos Elmo Society. Tickle Me Elmo. Amazing Grace. Cross right here. But John Crump, Assembly of Christ. Trump 88, right? Pope 88.
It's your chakras. Time jump through.
The 7 churches in Revelations.
That's your portals. Each chakra is a portal.
JC. All right, we're going to go to the UCC. I believe that's should be it for that topic. Let me make sure this is paused. So we showed B-Dale 1014, broke it down. He's going to break it down some more. It's a really good video. You don't have to agree with everything. I haven't found anybody I totally agree with out there, but so I'd like to hear everybody's angle because we're all angels or angles of light, sharing the knowledge as it comes. Rome founded, Treaty of 1213. We talked about that. King John. There it is. 88 lightning bolt, nuclear, Donald Trump. That's also a connection. But we'll share this out. I won't play that. It's pretty much play it. I'll play a little bit of it.
Today. In other news, officials at the Pacific Nuclear Research Facility have denied the rumor that a case of missing plutonium was in fact stolen from their vault 2 weeks ago. A Libyan terrorist group had claimed responsibility for the alleged theft. However, officials now attribute the discrepancy to a simple clerical error.
Hello, anybody home? Einstein, come here, boy. What's going on? Oh, God. Disgusting.
Where can you? 88 miles per hour!
Does it run like on regular unleaded gasoline?
Unfortunately, no. It requires something with a little more kick. Plutonium.
Plutonium. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that this sucker is nuclear?
Hey, keep rolling there. No. This sucker's electrical. But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity I need.
Look, all we need is a little plutonium.
Oh, I'm sure that in 1985, plutonium is available in every corner drugstore, but in 1955, it's a little hard to come by. Marty, I'm sorry, but the only power source capable of generating 1.21 gigawatts of electricity is a bolt of lightning.
What did you say?
A bolt of lightning. Unfortunately, you never know when or where it's ever going to strike.
Look at that.
See, we're talking about quantum. We're talking about quantum leap, right? The 10-4, 410, straight and narrow.
Yep.
The 1.2 gigawatts is between the left brain and right brain. Lightning bolt hits the tower. Quantum leap. Right here, this is Genesis, 1989. The numbers add up to. Here we go.
Keep lightning.
I never saw lightning like that before. And there are no clouds. I can see the stars. You know, that's about where they set off the first atomic bomb.
No kidding.
Control!
Yeah, what's happening, Gushy?
He's sleeping! Ziggy said no! But Sam's sleeping!
What do I do? Nothing. Any interference could kill her. I'll be there in 2 minutes.
If Ziggy's right, all you have to do is break Mach 3 and live. Hey, no way. Hey, pal, it's not my theory. There's got to be another way. The next one's only got a 52% chance of work. I'll take it. It requires you to be at ground zero during an atomic detonation. You asked.
To leap together, we would have had to either been struck by lightning or been sitting at ground zero during an atomic detonation.
Oh, it was lightning. Lightning. I remember a big bolt just as we leaped.
Read this. Date of birth, August 8, 1953.
August 8, 1953.
88 Lionsgate.
It's the day I was born.
Dr. Samuel Beckett. Born 8/8/53.
888.
For you. We seem to have lost contact with our affiliate stations. Stand by. We do have coming in confirmed reports of nuclear detonation. My God. Our sources were right. War never changes.
First bombs fell in the summer of 19...
But we are the nuclear scare event as we wake up.
Yes, that's it.
Did you do the UCC thing? What was it?
Oh, yeah, you can just read it. The UCC became law. I think it was April 10th, 2025. It's recorded in Austin, Texas. So you can use the UCC codes. Might come in handy through what's coming up. In that article, it should tell you where it is, which one it was. The one above that.
Over here.
No, it's a separate post.
Oh.
That was the link to with what was in the post.
All right, so we talked about.
And Back to the Future took Facebook with it.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh no.
It's all good. Everybody lost Facebook. It went down.
Damn it.
All good.
All right, so we're talking about how.
Do you see the article?
I'll
send it. I'll send it to you again.
Okay, for the UCC.
Yes.
So, usufruct was a word. The right to enjoy the use and advantage of another's property, short of the destruction or waste of its substance. Property tax, right? He was saying you was usufruct. In other words, you're so up.
Right.
That's what it sounds like. You're fucked. That's what it sounds like.
Right. Yeah.
So if you can remember you're fucked, then you can say usufruct. The right to enjoy the use of and advantage of another's property, short of the destruction or waste of its substance. Usufruct, the legal right of using and enjoying the fruits or profits of something belonging to another. Usufruct right here. From the Law Dictionary, Black's Law. See definitions and citations. In the civil law, the right of enjoying a thing, the property of which is vested in another, and to draw from the same all the profit, the utility, and advantage in which it may produce, provided it be without altering the substance of the thing. Civil Code, LA.art 533, and see Mulford versus LeFranc, 26, CAL 102, Cartwright versus Cartwright, 18 Texas 62, S. Strauss versus Sheriff, 43 LA, and 501, 9 South 102. I'm just reading all that. I'll enlarge it. Usufruct. So we did that. Also, the non-performance insurance policies and who owns the policies, the Kazarian Mafia, which is who neutralized Prince, Michael Jackson, all these people when they no longer want to perform, they
Malcolm
kill
X, JFK.
JFK. So he told you who last night who basically was responsible for all that, right?
Yeah, because those insurance policies, they cash in.
Yeah. So the Kazarian Mafia. We talked about what Okay. Airship, birthright, how fiat is nothing more than a voucher to the systems of the Sister QV trust controlled by the popes of Rome. Property tax, they have the people funding the shadow government through the property tax, War Powers Act. This goes all the way back to 1917. We're all renting from the Khazarians. It has been hypothecated under the usufruct, right, which I just read, by the corporation company, the same people that keep saying that that they're your representatives in Congress and senators, but in reality, they're field operatives of Rome. Did you see the UCC thing?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, here it is. Which part did you want to show? Okay, on April 10th, 2025, a new law came into being that needs all of us to invoke. This law nullifies the debt slavery that was instituted worldwide almost 100 years ago. In a letter from Edward Mandell House, written to President Woodrow Wilson between 1913 and 1921, it says, very soon every American will be required to register their biological property in a national system designed to keep track of the people. Every American will be forced to register or suffer not to being able to work and earn a living. This full text of this letter from the House to Wilson is enclosed. This system of debt, fiat money, went worldwide, nothing more than vouchers. Those at the top of this evil pyramid of power and control no longer can use the birth bond to back their Ponzi scheme against living men and living women. Sister QV is French for he who lives, right? Because of a perfected process that was finalized on April 10th, 2025 and became fact in law. We are now the creditor and not the debtor. So, 36 million or trillion, gazillion dollars in debt to anything. To begin to understand, it becomes a debt, credit, flipping it, merging into account, straw man.
And that's how you redeem. That's your redemption right there. You got to flip it.
Spiritual and physical action. To begin to understand what actually happened and how divine orchestration worked through Govinda Tidball of Texas, please at least view the first 8 minutes and 30 seconds to about the minute 25 mark on this podcast. The wording of the lawful UCC filings recorded March 5th, 2025 and March 10th, 2025, coupled with the 4-week public notice ending April 10th, 2025 is also enclosed. The money changers are now checkmated in their own scheme against the people of the world. They have no standing without money. Their fiat money was based on their control of the birth bond as of April 10th, 4/10/2025. That's the quantum leap. Didn't I say that? 4/10, 10/4.
Yep.
That's the straight and narrow. That's when the sun comes back in spring back to the equator, and then when it falls back down to fall and hits the equator again. It's 10/4 around that time. This control has ended. What is the incumbent upon all of us is to realize we must unceasingly invoke our newfound freedom at every opportunity. There will be initial pushback to this new fact and law. So here we go.
So start using it. That's what they're saying. That's how you can stay out of what they're trying to push on us. Use your silver, gold, and the UCC codes.
And I also suggest that you look up the UCC filings published in the Austin Chronicle. For the past 100 years, we have been dead entities to the state, the courts, the banks, churches, and other institutions that have knowingly or unknowingly participated in the birth bond fraud. Some needed questions to ask. How will banks now deal with personal promissory notes? How much longer will governments at levels continue to tax based on the birth bond fraud? How much longer will our incorporated courts remain primarily as banks existing off our birth bonds? It is the global agenda to go ahead with central bank digital currency, CBDC, also called digital fiat currency, now dead in the water. The list of questions becomes very extensive as you begin to grasp the enormity of what has just transpired since April 10th, 2025. One has to do a 180 degrees. There you go again. And most of our dealings with the state, courts, and banks, 180 straight. Going from the debtor to creditor, and will end the agenda of artificial scarcity. The chains of debt slavery have now been removed. Easter is such an appropriate time to be writing of these matters, especially as our own freedom from the birth bond is now our resurrection. 88.
Yes.
Boom.
UCC, review process. So here's the pillars of the Osiris Horth Aloft, the key of life. We'll talk about the keys. Compare this scene with Irene's woodcut. Sophia, wisdom, right, Miss Sheepdog?
Yes. That's what. Yep.
Messiah.
Yeah, you have to read that, the whole thing.
The healing sun code, human body of the booty, or tree of life and tree of enlightenment within. Interestingly, the word Asir, close to Osiris, in Irish literally means to kindle a fire. The name of Asiya means Lord or Master. The word ASR in Hebrew, Sar, has the signification of incantation as in magic. These definitions must suggest a magical component to the pillar of Osiris. It kindles the fire as if my magic, a pillar strikingly similar to Osiris, pillar of love, appeared in Sumeria 2500 BC. Gods and flying vehicles and priests wearing fish suits frequently accompanying this pillar. The secrets of the healing sun of the goddess Isis, and the hints of the secrets of the mystic Christianity and the Rosicrucians, centers of the mystic pillar, which derives its name from the pole, the end of the axis, that is. All right. We're not going to talk about cloning or nothing. That's it. There's a movie called 88 Minutes by Al Pacino with the 9/11/88 code.
Yep. Man, ton of information tonight. I think we have some things to be excited about, and I think we have some things that we need to be prepared for, right? As to when, nobody knows how they're going to unfold and when they're going to unfold. We can tell you that, you know, it is something that we can absolutely manifest at a quicker rate. We just have to continue to step up and voice the knowledge, right? Voice the knowledge and allow the other people in the masses to learn and grow as we did. Okay, it is a little more accelerated than it has been, and we can, without without a shadow of a doubt, know that there's millions of people waking up right now, and um, nothing's going to be things I'll never see in my life. Dragons, dinosaurs, unicorns, Epstein's client list.
Oh yeah,
Right?
that was funny.
But we're definitely accelerating. Okay. And the more we stand up and the more we share the knowledge and boldly share things that, that like we've been sharing. We're not the only group, folks. Mr. Jean Nolan, right, over on Inspired, is right on the same timeline, right? Mrs. Sheepdog, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
There's many others too.
Yeah, there's many others. Mind High Disclosure. The Disclosure channel is called up to us. Got away from the propaganda and have started seeing through it and sharing. And then we have the Aboriginals like Taj from last night. Chief Pontiac, Young Elder, B-Dale, which we showed tonight. There's another one that we like to watch that'll make you think is I can't remember his name right now. He's a little heavier set guy, but he is full of life and shares a lot as well.
Mike, you didn't have to talk about me like that.
Right. Right. Grammy, if you would call me, I can help you with that.
Dane Calloway.
Yeah, Dane, that's right. Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Sheepdog. I knew you would remember. He'll make you think, right? In fact, that's one of his platform mission statements. Here to make you think, right?
Yes.
And Grammy, please call me tomorrow. Grammy 3, please call me. I can help you with that. It's been a wonderful time sharing with you tonight. We're at 2.5 hours and counting. 2:33 as a matter of fact. Wow, imagine that. 2:33, right?
Right.
You just can't make this stuff up. I just looked at the time for the first time, and lo and behold, it's 2:33 and counting.
33.
33. That's exactly right.
That's it.
33 vertebrae in your spine.
That's exactly right. It's been a beautiful time sharing with you tonight. I feel so much more clarity sharing the things that we've shared tonight. Many of you have responded in the same way. Those that haven't are asking the questions. That's a really good thing. People in the chat are reaching out to each other and helping answer questions and share more knowledge. And we are I'm really amazed at not only my own journey, but the journey that many of us have been on over the last 10 years. Some of us over the last 4 years, some of us over the last 5 years, some of us over the last 3 years. and the ones that are coming now are accelerated. Their journey has been accelerated because they've been exposed to it and didn't realize it until just now, right? And then realize, and that's a beautiful thing to see as well. And while unity is important and it's key, right? It's a key. It's not the bane of our existence and our victory. We are each individual. Each individual. Remember, a house is not a home. A home is where your heart is, right? Okay. We have a lot to offer the world, and it's our time to shine, right? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, right?
That's right.
Eye of the tiger.
Eye of the tiger, absolutely. With that being said, I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you all for sticking it out. Kudos to those who lost, were on the Facebook feed when it went down. It appears that the content creators of Back in the Future didn't care for us sharing it, and the algorithm got us, right?
Damn it.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah, instantly.
I can't wait till we implement that everywhere we go. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
you're going to be down the street and you're going to say something and they're going to have it recorded. You're going to take your shit down.
Right.
They don't care about the Fair Use Act.
No, Facebook. They don't. Yeah. No, they don't. Not right now, anyway. And who knows if they ever will, if they make it that, Facebook makes it as far. I'm under the impression through my research that Facebook is one of those programs that won't make it, social media wise. Now we'll have versions of it, and it'll become a local thing too. If you decide to have, China or a foreign country in your Facebook feed, that'll be a you decision instead of them deciding it for you. But it's going to go local like a lot of everything else. I hope everybody has a great night. Love you all. Go ahead, Sheepdog.
Good night, everyone.
Maybe yes.
Maybe yes, okay.